Hello, and you're very welcome to the Town End podcast. After a fantastic 1-0 win in the Louth Derby, thanks to a Mickey Duffy goal and a deserved victory too, I think. So joining us tonight, we have Donal, Gally and Pingu. Gentlemen, how are we after that victory?
Settled.
Yeah. Like, it was... We've been crying out for a win, and I thought you're going to come on and be all delighted and ecstatic and happy, and you're bloody settled.
Settled. I mean, regimentally settled. Yeah. I think. Yeah. Look, it's 3 points. That's above anything else. It's 3 points. It's a Louth Derby as well. It was kind of a. I don't want to say a scrappy match, but it was kind of a. It was going somewhere. A lot of times it was going somewhere. The game was going to get somewhere, and then it just didn't. It just seemed to just kind of fizzle out every maybe 6 or 7 minutes. It just seemed to kind of fizzle back. You thought you were going to get something out of it, and you know, I fully expected Drogheda to score in the second half, but they didn't. And I just felt that I not that there was only going to be one winner, but I think we held our own. It's like we were saying before the show. I think you were saying it, Chris. It's nice that we were 1-0 up, so in the first half we were able to hang on to it. That you know, like, we're not usual watching the equaliser, the late equaliser. I think Drogheda had a bit of pressure in the second half, but look, you'll take it every day of the week. I mean, we're crying out for 3 points since the cup final last year. So you know, we take it every week, every single week. We take games like that, absolutely.
Yeah, Donal.
So I had on Friday had got myself into the headspace of, like, I don't care what the performance is like. I don't care if Longford have 100 shots and we have one and we win 1-0. The result is the most important thing. And then on Monday, you do get the 1-0 win where performance is okay, and I still come out of it being like, I kind of wanted them to play a bit better. But, you know, a win is a win, I guess. That's the main thing. And I was saying earlier that they looked like they were comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time. That they didn't look solid. They didn't look composed, especially in the first half. They were all over the place for a good half an hour. And Drogheda didn't really create any chances. Didn't make the most of that unsettled back four that we have. And in the second half, Drogheda just seemed to run out of ideas. They didn't really create many chances. Dundalk, like, we should have killed the game off. The game should have been done and dusted long before the final whistle, but couldn't create enough chances. And I think there's Niall Newbury's tweet was like, did anything actually happen in the second half of that game? Because it just felt like it just drifted, and then the whistle went and it was over. So, look, a win's a win, and we can't complain about winning games anymore, you know.
Absolutely. They don't happen often enough. Pingu, don't look at me like that. Just give us something.
Yeah, look, anytime we beat Drogheda is a good day. Anytime we beat Drogheda, look, it's sorry, I said it again, Chris. It's a good day, but the performance for me, I mean, if we had a map of where the ball was for most of the game, or at least most of that second half, I think the ball was probably in our box, in our own box, more than it was in Drogheda United's box over 90 minutes. I mean, we wrote a look. Sometimes I think better strikers probably would have had more chances on goal. I don't even know if Drogheda had I don't know if Zahibo had any real quality saves to make. By Zahibo, a lot of high ball went in. I think they had a game plan against them in the box, you know. Or Zahibo, sorry, Abibi. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. I was Zahibo down, the king of Instagram. But yeah, it's just look, a win's a win. I don't want to be too negative from the word go. But yeah, a win's a win. Happy days, good stuff. Move on.
Yeah, like lads, I was absolutely buzzing coming into this, and you're all kind of brought me down to touch on this. I don't know. Maybe it's getting away from this podcast for a few weeks has made me happier. Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe were you watching the Denmark game instead? Did you get the wrong game?
Yeah, I was just watching on live score. Oh, still 1-0, great. No, look, I thought I think for the past few weeks, even previous to this, we've been looking for players to be played into positions and, for us to put our strongest team out, rather than having to revert and put lads back in that, either aren't fully fit because we've nobody else for that position or whatever. But finally, we look like we've got a lot more balance. Lee looks like he's, got a new lease of life under Vinny. Obviously, he's the confidence in him to play. And that makes a massive, massive difference to him. And, look, credit where credit's due. There's another clean sheet as well. You've all glossed over that one, I noticed, lads, in your round up there. A clean sheet come out. One or two BB's punches tonight probably are highly questionable, but at other times he came out and collected the ball once or twice, and was far quicker off his line tonight for one or two balls over the top, which Drogheda tried to play all the time. I presume it was a tactic or something they'd seen, either an angle ball round or a long ball over the top, thinking that there's too big of a gap, obviously, between our defenders and a BB. But he was much quicker coming off his line tonight, and I think that kind of shored up a lot for us. But look, I'd gladly take a 1-0, scrappy enough goal. Will we class it as, lads? Like it was a decent ball in, good save from the keeper, spill it back in, and I was 100% certain that player was going to clear it off the line.
Yeah.
When Mickey Duffy hit it, and I don't know how it went into the net. So I'll take that every day. But look, I think that's the sort of goal we'll gladly take if that means it's a winner every week.
Yeah, I think if the keeper kind of, I still don't know how the keeper was able to slap it back into the box. 9 times out of 10, they go out to the left, out for a corner, but it seemed to just fall in. But it was, look at, you make your own luck, I suppose. 9 times out of 10, they had to clear it and kicked it into the car park across the road. But it just failed. And I actually thought, I actually missed the ball going into the net. I actually thought it was a penalty because they seemed to, Gary Deegan and it might have been Kane, I don't know, it looked like they cut him in half. So I actually thought it was a penalty. I was shouting for a penalty, but forgetting that the ball was actually in the net. But look, you'll take goals like that. And, for Duffy to get up even after the tackle, they absolutely went through for a shortcut. Yeah. But yeah, look, scrappy goals, last minute penalties, own goals. Look, you'll take them all day.
We'll take them all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Donald, a double over Drogheda already this year. I don't think we're going to be able to say we're going to do a double over many teams this year. So to do one over our local rival is always good.
Yeah, and we would have all joined in the "Can we play every week" chant that would have been coming from the away section of the park. I haven't mentioned that it was on ahead in the game park either. That's we have to mention that a few times. But yeah, you can't like we said, you can't complain about beating your local rivals twice. Like whatever the performance, whatever happens in the game, if you get 2 wins, like that's their gold. So
that's it. Steph, you're very welcome.
Well, man, how's things?
How are you?
Not too bad, yeah. All good after the result.
Yeah, I knew, Steph, once you texted into our group to say that we were going to lose tonight, we were on for a win.
I didn't. I said 0-0.
Even better.
No, look, I was close as well because just could have easily ended it 0-0. But no.
But it didn't, Steph. Jesus, lads, what is wrong with you tonight?
I think it was one of them games that just
doesn't fill you with confidence at all for going into the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, look, I get Finney's come in and he's in a weird way, he's probably got them more settled than they were in the last couple of weeks, but it's still the same.
Shite.
It's not laboured. It just seems to be. It's stop-start. Like Drogheda there. Like Drogheda probably disappointed. They didn't at least get a draw. They were probably fully expecting to beat us there. They were probably like for the first time probably in years. But I just think it's going to take a couple of weeks. I think I think they need one or two new players. I think we're going to have to gain a few. But look, it has to settle down at some stage. And look, like we said at the start, scrappy goals, scrappy wins. That's how you start these type of runs that we're still waiting on. But I don't think we're going to get much. We're not going to get Kenny ball that we used to have. But that's gone. These players can't cut that. So
that's been gone since 2018, since he left.
Yeah, but even that type of football, these players aren't even capable, I don't think, of playing that type of football. So I think there's going to be a few need to be shown the door in order to get that back. But look, it's great. It's a great win. It's 3 points. No matter what it is, you'll take it.
Yeah.
Is this the start of what we've seen in real two team selections, Pingu, for the past two matches? Is this now Vinny's trying to just stake his claim into this team and saying, look, some of you aren't up to scratch on this and you got to work your way into this team?
Possibly. I mean, look, we're saying, sorry, I keep saying look at it tonight, but we say that the team selection was similar, there was consistency, but there's still 3 changes tonight. Sonny was back in at centre back. Jokovskis, that we were calling out for on Friday night, that should have started, and then Sloggett started in midfield. So he did make changes, but I think he kept the spine all right. Earlier in the season, obviously, when we went back to back games, Jim kept the exact same 11. If I'm going to give any praise to Vinny, at least he changed it up and freshened things a little bit. Yeah. If Sonny was available Friday, and we probably shouldn't labour on a game now that it's gone, but with Chris Shields, for however long I know we're going to talk about it later on, but for however long he's going to be involved still in the club, like, you need to be playing him in his best position. You need your best players playing in their best position. So I would like to see Sonny and Boyle partnership kind of develop, if that's going to be the long term or even the medium term until Cleary's back.
Yeah. And from all intents and purposes, I think Cleary's going to be a long way back for him too. So even I think when he is back, it's not going to be, immediately be able to bring him straight back into the team. It's probably going to be a slow bleed in for him as well. Steph, did you get to watch the game tonight?
Yeah, watched that. Yeah.
I think John Flanagan had put in tonight, just asking about Sonny's performance. I mean, what did you think tonight? He seemed to take less chances than he had previously. There was once or twice I seen the ball bouncing in front of him, and he just, hoofed the ball over his shoulder rather than trying to get on to control it or head it back. Is a bit of a more no nonsense performance. What did you think?
Yeah, look, I don't think he's good enough to play out from the back. Like Boyle would be a little bit better than him playing out from the back. But I suppose maybe the Finn Hobbs goal McNamee scored, the mix up between him and Lee. I think maybe that was in the back of his head. But look, I wouldn't mind him not taking chances and playing the percentages, playing it long if that's what he needs to do. Don't try and be too clever, because he's got caught out once, and at least I think he made a few headers, few clearances and stuff like that. I think he done okay, considering he's just back in. But we're short there. If anywhere needs strengthening up, definitely at centre half we need to get somebody in. But if they get consistency at the back with the two centre halves, and look, the full backs changed again. And even with Dummigan come on right full, and then Jokovskis went left full. I think we should be trying to get consistency there instead of switching. Even if Dummigan's played left full for the second half of last season, I can't understand why he wouldn't have just came in left full. But look, there's obviously reasoning behind it. You'd hope so anyway. But if we can get a settle back 4 or 5, including the keeper, it's only going to help them instead of changing it every week. And I know there's been injuries before that's disrupted that sort of partnership, but I suppose if we get consistency in the team selection, it's only going to help us, I think.
Yeah. Donald, I'll come to you just about the changes and stuff tonight, but everyone watching here tonight, Gally, I believe we still have one mug still available, so we'll do a wee sneaky man in a match competition tonight. So feel free to text in anybody for your, not the one Gally's drinking out of. I just want to stress that right now.
That'll cost us money.
So we'll do a man of the match competition. So feel free to comment in, everybody, for who you thought your man of the match was tonight, and we'll go around the table before the end of the show. And if your selection is agreement with the team here, we'll pick you somebody out at random who can win the mug. Donal, I was just going to come to you and just say, look, Pingu mentioned it there already. We 3 more changes in tonight. Is this a lesson learned that we didn't do for the Bowls match that time when we took an absolute tonkin when we had 3 games in the space of 11 days and we had to figure out a way to do it? So look, I suppose we can say it's justified. What did you think?
Yeah, well, you see, remember before that Bohemians game, we wanted consistency, that we felt like the team had been changed every 10 seconds. Yeah. And then, it doesn't work. So like, you have to, I guess, look at the bigger picture of like, if someone's, I don't know, if anybody's carrying like a minor injury or anything like that, like he's going to have to change them around. I think the issue that came with the changes that he made tonight was that you need to get Sonny playing left-sided centre-back with Darragh Leahy more than once every 6 weeks. Yeah. Or else they're just not going to be able to figure out how to play together, because they struggled in the first half an hour. Darragh Leahy couldn't get out, couldn't keep control, couldn't keep possession of the ball, was looking for help, couldn't find help from anywhere. And that's the kind of thing that, like, they need consistency. Like we keep saying that with the back four, they need to have a consistent back four. But that's the problem with changing stuff like that. And then, like Steph said, changing Jarkowskis and Dummigan from one side to the other side was, I don't know, it just seemed sort of needless. Like, because Dummigan had played left full plenty of times before, it seemed he should have been comfortable enough to come in and play there. But the biggest thing is still, to me, is still who's playing in midfield. I know we have Shields back in midfield tonight and probably Friday night. But then beyond that, we're like, Stanton must have been tired maybe, since, we're going from a man of the match performance on Friday night to getting 2 minutes at the end. But yeah, so it just seems, unless he was tired, and like, I don't understand why he wasn't playing. But again, that's the kind of thinking that got us beaten 5-0 by Bows or 5-1 by Bows, because I'm like, maybe he needs to change the team, and you're better off changing it. But I think the main thing is the consistency with the back four and trying to find the right combination in midfield, which is obviously, or we think, is going to get a little bit more difficult in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Gally, just even about that balance, I suppose, in the middle of the park, is this still going to take a few more games to get to the bottom of, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to take, it could be next season. Like, I think a signing's going to have to be made, because it's, like, I remember saying at the start of the season, Drogheda pulled off a masterstroke signing Gary Deegan. I thought he could, I think it was the first podcast, I can't remember, but I think he would have been a great, I kind of gave him a bit of disrespect. I said he could be a great understudy for Chris Shields, but I actually think he could have played with him. I think, I'm surprised how good he's been at Drogheda, haven't been at Shelbourne. But that's the type of player we need. And look, we don't know the situation with Chris Shields. I actually thought Slog had come in today. I think he done all right. I thought Slog had a decent game. But he's not a Chris Shields, and that's the problem. I think he's more of a, not to etch him on a wee bit, but I think he's that kind of Michael Carrick. He's unnoticed. He kind of plays, and you don't even really remember him playing. That's to be disrespectful, but he comes in, he does a job, he can pass a ball, and when he's on it, he's great. I mean, he can strike a ball, he can pick a pass, but he was decent tonight. But the centre of the park, like Jan Boy Zahibo as well, we don't know what we're at. Like, I'd love to go and sign someone from the league. I would love to see us go like a younger version of a Chris Shields. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I hate that. I hope they'll go spend mental money on.
The whole league's looking for that, though.
there's plenty of talent. There's got to be people out there, like that's what the academy's for. It's moments like this that you want the academy from the last couple of years to be running a little bit better, I suppose. That these players coming in and taking over, but it's going to be, like Donald says, it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a nightmare, but it's definitely going to be a tough one for Vinny. That's going to be the biggest obstacle he has, because we'll always score goals. I think when they're all on form, we will get goals. I think we probably have 2 of the top 5 front men in the country. When they're on it. But I think it's going to be one of those that I think it's going to. I don't think it's going to come from in the club unless they find a gem. Maybe somebody comes through, like I don't know. Maybe Dunnigan goes into midfield and becomes Philip Lam all of a sudden. I don't know. But it's going to take a signing. It's going to take someone to come in and actually sign for the club.
And then gets moved to right back before the end of the night.
And then it's look. You don't replace Chris Shields. You don't replace players like that. It's like when we tried to replace John Flanagan. You don't replace players like that.
Well,
they're one-offs. The man Flanagan.
You'd be delighted with that.
He will be. And it's difficult, but I don't think Stanton's the answer either. But I do think Stanton and Sloggett could play a part.
Yeah.
But look, we'd see what it's not. That's what Vinny's paid the money for, or that's what he's come in for. So he knew this. He knew this was going to happen. So
there was 2 bits just even tonight with Shields that we'll miss if he does move on, and we'll come to that in a minute. I think just before the halftime whistle, we were coming under a little bit of pressure. Must have been their 20 millionth corner kick in the first half. The Drogheda had, and bit of pressure, long ball up, and Chris Shields just held up the ball on the edge of the box and waited for the tackle to come and just rolled over and won a free kick and completely killed their momentum. And then in the second half, when we were kind of on that kind of counter-attack mode that we were on, him and Fats just had a lovely little 1-2 playing around their players, and they were spinning around trying to work out where to go, because the guys just knew exactly where each other were. And I think that's, we will miss that if it is the end for Shieldsy. Pingu, I suppose, just to touch on Abibi tonight, when Vinny came back, there was a question mark, I suppose, of whether he would stick with Abibi in goal. He's gone with him for the last 2 games, and he's come out with a clean sheet. And tonight, an important result for him, and could see the one before that. Is this still an area where you think Vinny's going to have to look at come July, though?
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be. He doesn't. He's getting better in the games, but that still doesn't make him very good. He's look. He's been put in this position. You know what I mean? He's been given an opportunity, kind of like previous management was, where he lacks that experience at a decent level. And I don't think from the games that we seen Cherry play, I mean, he fluffed his lines when he got the opportunity. He had a chance to stake his claim and he didn't do it. So we're stuck. Probably Abibi is the better of the 2, in my opinion, from the games that I've seen this season. But yeah, I think we need to be looking up north, probably, or the lower leagues in England, to see if we can get someone just to get us through to the end of the season. But I think competition is what's needed for him. But probably one of the saddest sights in the game tonight is the fact that a legend of a goalkeeper in the league and a legend of a goalkeeper for Dundalk FC is in the dugout training the goalkeepers for Drogheda. Where when he left, I think we were all hoping and we were all anticipating, when Steve Williams said he was stepping away, that Rodgers was going to be the natural replacement there. And I think having someone like Rodgers, and this is no disrespect to the Dundalk goalkeeping coach, but having someone like Rodgers who's just fresh out of the game, knows what it's like to be a Dundalk FC goalkeeper in your ear and giving you that support, would probably have made the world of difference to someone like Abibi now. Yeah. So I feel a little bit sorry for him, because it's been difficult coming over here. But if we're calling a spade, I think we do need to get someone that's a little bit more reliable in goal. As I said, Drogheda had so many fluff chances in that game, where if we went up against the likes of a Graham Burke, I mean, it's
nights out.
Yeah, it's a different game.
Yeah. Look, I suppose we better talk about wouldn't be a week in Dundalk Football Club without some sort of mad speculation around. And this week, I suppose most of it is centred around Chris Shields and the possibility that come the start of July that he will be signing for Linfield. I mean, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, well, first and foremost, what do we think to this rumor? Do we think this is definitely going to happen? Gally, what do you think? Do you think is this just possibly him weighing up opportunities and seeing what happens, or do you think is it just a thing that he's might not be Linfield, but he's definitely leaving?
It looks like he's leaving. The worrying thing for me is that I don't know, maybe behind the scenes, I don't know if we've offered him anything. So I don't know if the dog have come out and said, look, we want to keep you. I think he's done.
The problem with this is, Gally, that, having only appointed Vinny now, I mean, who would have offered him the contract? No manager was in to say, well, I'm your manager and I want you to stay.
But even at that, there's certain players that would automatically get a contract. That should even, I'm not looking, not 10 years, but certain players have earned the right for another year. And don't get me wrong, nobody's had going in this season, nobody's been brilliant. But you've got certain players over the years that you would assume automatically, all you just look at them and say, look, this man needs to be staying at the club. And maybe look at,
would you say the same though about Gano and the same about Sean Hoare, technically?
Well, I would have about Sean Hoare. It haunts me Sean Hoare was allowed to leave the club over. I would have a Sean Hoare over Sean Gannon, simply because Gannon's contract kept winding down for years. And he obviously signed for what the dog offered or whatever it was. But Sean Hoare was actually more of a problem because at centre half we were lost. Obviously at the time Dunwigan had come in and looked like a capable replacement. It's hit or miss, with Tchaikovskis and that. But Sean Hoare for me was the big one. I couldn't, because he can play CDM as well. He would actually take over from Chris Shields if we needed now. But look at when it comes to Linfield, we seem to get, we were talking about David Healy not that long ago. I was sure David Healy was coming from Linfield to us, but it looks like it's done. Not that it's done. It looks like he's definitely going somewhere. Linfield and Larne were mentioned. There's only so much rumours.
Yeah,
it's been mentioned that many times. There's got to be something in it.
Though, when you think of, a lot of it seems to be. It would work out well for him, as in where he live in, the family, bits and pieces. You kind of, it probably makes more sense for him to do that move now that his contract is running down with us. He bows out, he goes there. They are now gone full time, so he stays in the same sort of regime that he's in, except now he's closer to home. You can't really hold that against him.
And I think it's a culmination of his contract being up and just the way the club is at the minute. If this is 2 seasons ago, this doesn't happen. He signs another contract, there's no problem. And I think it's just a culmination of all of that coming together. He probably just fancies a change. Look at, and it must be massive pressure being Chris Shields at Dundalk, because he's held in such a high esteem with the fans. It's got to be pressure all the time. He's done 10 years. I don't want to say he's earned the right to have something else, but he's done everything he can for the club. He's been immense. But look, if he does go, it's one of those players you don't hate to see him go for himself. If he's made the decision, and look, it's the right decision for him. There's certain players that have left over the years, I hate to see him back at Oriel Park, but look, he's earned the right to kind of say, look, thanks very much. I've had me fill now at this stage.
Yeah, Donald, if you're going to lose a player like that, is it the best for worst scenario that he plays for Linfield, who he, potentially may not play, this year, and they're not going to be taking any points off us in the league, unlike, Sean Hoare and Gannon, like we said, and Benson and Mountney, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the best of a bad situation if that is what happens, that we don't have to play him again, unless by some fluke we end up playing them again. But it's all
Europa League final.
We were talking a couple of weeks ago about the I think it was maybe the Waterford game, where it's not even about individuals at this stage anymore, because this Chris Shields thing is just emblematic of a much bigger problem at the club, that he should never have been in this situation. His contract should never be this close to the end without some sort of contingency plan in place to keep him. And the fact that it's him that we're talking about, when it could be a bunch of lads that are coming down towards the end of their contract, and we've made no attempt to keep them. And there's not much of an incentive to keep them when they don't know who's going to be in charge. They didn't know who was in charge like up until last week. It's just been absolute chaos. So look, like Shieldsy will go down as one of the best players I ever saw play for the Dundalk, and like one of the most successful players of all time.
Yeah,
and, like you absolutely can't deny. Like if he wants to leave, you're like, yeah, fair enough. Like it'd be really, really hard to like find a convincing argument against him saying, no, I'm getting a long contract closer to home, and I've just got a bit of stability, So can't argue with that.
No, exactly. Steph, just on the Shieldsy thing, I mean, we're going to be left with a massive dilemma again, of who and what we're going to do to replace Shieldsy. So if he goes now and we're left without him till the end of this season, short term, what do we do?
We must start planning because he's already gone, lads.
Ever the optimist there, Steph?
No, look, it's a done deal, I'm telling you. I think we should start planning now because it's going to happen. There's too much stories about it. They've even written about it themselves, and look, I don't know what the short term is now, but look, we should be looking around the league to see if we can pick up somebody. Who's like I don't know who you pick up to play. Like he's going to be like near impossible to replace. He's been one of Dundalk's best players the last 8 years, however long he's with the club, and he's went from strength to strength. Even in the European games, he's excelled, and look, he'll be a massive miss. He's obviously a leader in the dressing room, being the captain as well. So, look, I think we've dropped the ball on that one again. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. Maybe he's been given the stability of a longer contract, or maybe he just wants a change. Maybe he's just fed up with how things are going. Us as fans can probably understand it a wee bit, but look, if he goes in July, I don't know if it taints him a wee bit regards the legendary status, because we're halfway through a league season, we're struggling, he's the captain. I don't know, like, it's just me thinking out loud, like,
I'll play that to him and see if he stays then. I like it.
Yeah, he'll probably be delighted he won't have to fucking listen to me talking rubbish any longer. But no, look, I don't know. You sort of can't blame him in one sense. If he does go in July,
no,
they'll like, if he's going to Linfield, who are starting pre-season pretty soon, or if they haven't already, and they're going full time. It's closer to home. He's a young family.
It takes a lot of boxes for him, doesn't it?
Ticks a lot of boxes for him. It'll be just he's been with Dundalk so long. He's great ties with the club, and he's club captain. Everything else then that goes with it. It'll be just disappointing for us, and I don't know whether it'll sour fans or not. But look, that's football, I suppose. That's
it. Pingu, just Shieldsy strikes me as another one of these massive characters in the Dundalk dressing room, a bit like a John Mountney, Robbie Benson. We name a few of these players. They're very, very hard to replace, and as we've seen from both those players I just mentioned, that we haven't really been able to find a replacement for them. What do we do with Shields if the worst case scenario does happen?
Just echoing kind of what Steph says, like I think it's, as you say there, it's a character that's leaving, but it's your captain. It's everything kind of starts with him in the team, and losing him, where does that leave? Not just replacing Chris, but where does that just leave the dynamic of the group? When you have someone like that, and Chris Shields, not Chris Clark. Chris shows what it's like.
I was replaceable, no problem.
Yeah.
Hi, Donald.
Yeah, but Chris shows on the pitch, what it means. He leads by example, and how he puts himself about on the pitch when he's playing. He goes all in for every tackle, and like even tonight when you seen him back in that defensive midfield role, you know, linking up the play, or if one of the right back or left back, one of the wing backs bomb forward, he was just dropping into that space and covering for them. You know, it was when we look at the likes of maybe Sloggett, who you'd be thinking probably it'll be between him and Zahibo for who goes in to replace him in a more permanent basis. Like Sloggett's still learning the game, but Sloggett's not that type of player that does what Shieldsy does, you know, and he doesn't cover that those kind of areas, and they're the jobs that I would say they go unnoticed, but I've just mentioned them, you know, but they're the jobs that in regular seasons, you know, Shieldsy just does it, you know, he doesn't have to be told to do it. That's just in his nature as a player, and it's just it feels like a bad breakup, doesn't it? if we're being honest, it's like. It's like we know it's coming to an end. We know it's finishing up, but it's just I don't know. You'd hope, obviously, if he is going, or sorry, when he's going, Steph, in a couple of weeks, that Linfield's obviously going to have to give us some kind of compensation for him because he's still contracted till the end of the season. If that gives us the opportunity with the wages that he has plus whatever extra we get. If that gives us the opportunity to get somebody in and place of him, then so be it, you know. Or look, we don't know the terms of the deal with Linfield. They might be sending someone else down our way. We honestly don't know what's happening with it so far. So it's kind of a wait and see. But I think out of everybody, you know, the likes of Michael Duffy, McElhaney, I think this is gonna harm the team more than any player that could potentially leave. Because I just think that Shieldsy he's been the engine man, hasn't he, for the 8 years of success. And that's I'm away to cry here, so someone else can speak to it.
I think though, even when you look at this Shields or this year with Shieldsy and the way our team has underperformed, you know, Shieldsy was there before when under Sean McCaffrey, when he was made captain at such a young age, and he was there when things were really tough for the club then as well, and you know, the whole playoff and everything. So to go through that and then to go through such a high with how well we played and the honours that he and the club received rightfully then after, you know, he's earned that respect not only from us fans but from other players in the league. And just when someone leaves your club like that, it's just a massive vacuum. And I think some clubs might look at it and say, you know, Shields playing tonight, crap, we're going to have to play even better tonight. That little fear factor is going to be gone from the club if he does leave. And that's a wee worry for me, because it's these little psychological battles sometimes which can get you over the edge in games. So it's just going to be a massive loss. And look, and if he does go, it's another thing. Like we were talking earlier about, Vinny needs to address the goalkeeping situation on a permanent basis to decide what's going to happen there. You know, he's now going to have another massive task in hand, and that's taking away the job already he has to do with the stability of this club. We need to have, or at least be in and around, thinking that we can compete for Europe or a run in a cup, a chance of European football to make us attractive to maybe a possible new investor if this is the end of the road for Peak Six. I mean, I think that's part of the massive issue with Dundalk Football Club at the moment. That the best thing that Peak Six did when they first came in was offering, remember, these 3.5-year contracts. And we all thought, this is great. This is how to run a football club. We're now thinking long term. We're no longer chop and change. We can see a bit of stability in the club. We can build around that. And for years and years, even when our best players in the Richie Towles and the Horgans were taken away from our team, we still were able to hold the nucleus of our team together and add some new players in around that. And we were able to improve and go on. Even when we dropped down a level, say, you know, when we were going toe-to-toe with Cork and we didn't win the title, you know, we bounced back from that. Why? Because we still had a nucleus of a good team there. We've seen from this year, when that nucleus was ripped out and we had to replace most of our team, look what's happened to us. Now, potentially, we're now going to lose our most influential player for the past 10 years. That's going to be a massive gap to fill. And we could be back to these short-term contracts. I mean, we mentioned it how many times that come the end of this season, so far all we have is one senior player and 2 youth players signed up. I mean, there's a real fear that we're back at this stage again at the start of next year and we're having to fill all positions in our team all over again. And is that back to inexperienced people in this league again? It's going to be a recipe for disaster all over again. So on that point, I think we're talking about the Vinny effect for maybe the past 2 results. Donal, I'll come to you first. What is Vinny's biggest task coming up here? There's the stability in the club with regards where we can finish in this league. There's a long-term future for this club. Where's his long-term future? We still don't know how much of a contract did he how long is Vinny even with us at the moment? So there's a couple of questions still sitting there.
That was one of the things that the main questions I had after his interview and after the not press conference, but after the interview that they put out after we signed the contract was like, okay, so fair enough. You sorry, there was just a bomb dropped. The question, or one of the questions that I want someone to ask him is how long is his contract? And then it's like, okay, so your contract is whatever length of time. What happens beyond that? Like, where is this club going? What direction are we going in? And the worry of like not doing press conferences and stuff is that someone didn't get to ask these questions. I don't know. I'm assuming that's part of why that didn't happen. But the main thing that he has to do is obviously it's just to get results, but it's just hard to separate the appointment and the contract situation with everybody from that worry that at the end of the season, it's all just blown up and we're starting again. What he's going to have to do is to try and just put a team together. Like, you're going to be losing the most important player on your team, probably. So then you have to try and reorganize the midfield that we've seen in the last few games. When he's not in there, it's pretty hard to do. And you're going to have to try and keep the wheels on, I suppose. That's all you can do, The European games, like we keep saying this, like the European games could be something great. Like, we could get a couple of good performances and get a couple of decent results, but like, it's just keeping the wheels on, and then I guess we'll just see where we are at the end of the season. That just seems like that's the short and long term view that we have.
Yeah, Gally.
Yeah, I think the main problem with Vinny's contract, so if it is 6 months, is he allowed to sign players? So is he allowed to say, right, well, if I'm not here next year, I can't. The players won't sign for me if they think I'm not. If Vinny's got contacts in the league or contacts with players, they're going to say, right, Vinny, how long are you staying for? Now, obviously, no manager's job safe, but if he's definitely not got a contract for next season, they're going to think, so what would I be going up there for? This is I don't know who I'm going to be playing for next season. The Dundalk's not the attractive offer that it was even 2 years ago. We've just fallen so far. That's the main worry, the fact that he hasn't got a longer contract. But Vinny obviously wanted to come back to the club that badly and wanted to help out. He was willing to take. He probably would have took a daily contract to come back. But that's the danger. Is he allowed to sign players? Can he sign players? We don't know. I'd like to think he maybe when he was interviewed for the job, he maybe said, look, these have to go, and I want to sign this. That's the hope. But I don't even think he would have got that. I think he's willing to work with the squad he has. Maybe he thought he could come in and say, look, maybe I can change Chris's mind. I highly doubt that. But I do think we're going to need to replace, and we need a midfielder anyway, regardless of Chris Shields goes or not. I think we're a midfielder light. Our best player, we said a couple of weeks ago, our best midfielder at the minute next to Fats is Will Patchy. So if he can come back down, he's not going to plug the gap that Chris Shields leaves, but he gives us another option. But yeah, the big thing for Vinny is the contract, and if he's allowed to actually sign players on a year deal, because he might be here, and it's madness that he's even got a 6-month contract. Like, there's no foresight, and we're back to this, like, are P6 going to be here, and is that why they've offered him a 6-month deal, because they can't offer him any more? So we're in this kind of shit show again.
Yeah, exactly. Steph, I'll come to you in a second. Just a reminder, everyone, we'll go through our man of the match performance straight after this. It's looking like it's a runaway for one player tonight, who's possibly was the goal scorer tonight. So unless there's something dramatic that changes that, it's going to look like it's a landslide. Steph, just to back to the point on that, I mean, Flano's just messaged in there saying that we need to start looking and give out realistic contracts, maybe 2-year minimum, or people won't want to come to the club. They'll be looking at their long-term commitment with kids, mortgages, family, upbringing, etc. Why would you come to Dundalk if you're only going to get 1-year contract or the 6 months just to fill a gap, and you got to consider where you're going straight after?
Yeah, the players were looking to sign aren't going to sign on a short-term basis. It'd be only players looking to make a name for themselves who aren't playing at other clubs, maybe, that'd come in a short-term basis like that to try and get a move away, I suppose, or because it just everything points towards P6 leaving at the end of the year, giving out the short contracts. Well, everyone's up apart from the 3 you mentioned already. I presume Finney's the exact same. His contract will be up at the end of the year. It looks like they're just trying to get to the end of the season, and that's it. They're trying to get to the end of the season, and hopefully they can sell us on. That's what they're hoping. But just going back to the Chris Shields point, I think the biggest standout for me is when you go back to 2 years ago when they mess up with the suspension, and look at the lift they gave
for the final.
Yeah, look at the lift they gave Rovers that day. Like, I think with Chris Shields playing that day, we probably would have won. I know it's a big if, like, but look, it gave them a big lift and it gave us a kick that he wasn't playing. So look, if you take him out of the equation altogether, I think it's going to have a similar effect, like you already mentioned before. It's hard to look around the league, like, to see who you're going to pick up from that. But then again, are you going to attract someone to come down on I don't even think they'll offer 18-month deals, so you get the year and a half. And even if they do, like, you're going to have a manager, like Ali said, that isn't necessarily going to be there. Like,
yeah.
So do you trust that either? If you're a player and looking at the Dundalk right now, there's no way you'd be excited about coming to the club.
No. That seems to be the biggest problem as well, isn't it? I mean, there's no commitment from the owners. Doesn't seem to be any long-term commitment from the club to the manager, and there certainly isn't long-term commitment to the players at this club. I mean, where are we as a club when we think about it like that?
Yeah, well, I was just I logged off there a few minutes ago just to listen. Vinny had a little soundbite with LMFM, and he said, there's forced and unforced changes coming. Which, I mean, he was talking directly about the Chris Shields situation, but he said he wouldn't confirm or deny that. But that sounds very ominous if it's forced and unforced. I mean, there's obviously going to have to be changes. We've heard. Vinny was quite critical again in that short snippet about social media and rumours and stuff going to bed. But then to turn around and say that there's forced and unforced changes coming suggests that the budget needs to be trimmed down and needs to be trimmed down significantly. So yeah, I look at there's not going to be any players getting any contracts beyond the end of the season. In my opinion, I don't see it happening. If we are to bring any players in from now to the end of the season, it'll most likely probably be on loan. The more that I just think about it as tonight's show goes on, when I'm talking about players coming from Northern Ireland, no one's going to come and sign a 6-month contract. I don't think we can even offer a 6-month contract. I think the minimum now for any player coming in will have to be 18 months. By FIFA or UEFA regulations, you have to give them at least a minimum of a year. So
And is a loan move excluded outside that agreement?
A loan, we can just loan them till the end of
Yeah, so if someone was contracted for, say, an extra year in the north, we could loan them for 6 months still.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, Vinny said social media is playing a big part in rumours, and yet he comes out with that sort of statement.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, that's going to get people fucking in overdrive over that alone. Like,
yeah, I mean, the thing is, look at. We can talk, like he's brought that up obviously in his interview with the club, and he's brought it up again tonight about social media. But like a lot of these rumours have came out directly from the club. You know, a lot of the rumours that we've heard have been completely on the money. So it's not, if it's factual, it's not a rumour. You know, and the stuff about Shieldsy, we've heard that 3 weeks ago. You know, and it's not just with Shieldsy. We heard the budget was being cut, and if you're saying that there's forced and unforced changes coming down the road, then that means that there's some element of truth to it. So it's just look,
I think the vacuum at the club, though, sometimes of the lack of information coming out. We call this a few times, you know, in particular when Filippo and that was being let go by the club, and everybody knew he was let go, and yet there was just absolutely nothing from the club about it. So I think sometimes creating the vacuum allows the opportunity for these sort of whatever rumours or whatever that Vinny wants to call them to circulate. So if we come out and we have if the club has a finite way of dealing with things and saying, we're putting this to bed, this is happening, you know, unfortunately Shieldsy's not going to stay with us, he's going to be moving on. Okay, we need to get on with that. You know, there's ways that we can do things and you can control a lot more, but I just think the vacuum, the chasm sometimes creates these rumours, and then sometimes the rumours can become, you know, fact sometimes then as well, but you know, with no way of squashing them at any time over the past 6 months, I would say the club has allowed that sort of a scenario to manifest.
Well, if we look at the last week or so, if Shieldsy wasn't leaving, someone would have came out and said it by now. Do you know, that's a fact. You know, someone would have came out and said this is completely untrue. You know, if there wasn't contact
in that interview,
he
could have said like he's not leaving. So.
Exactly. And then last week, there was rumours. Well, I'm saying rumours again, but this time last week, Dave Rogers was offered a job. Then he wasn't offered a job. Then it was going to Vinny. Bill Hulsizer came out over the weekend and confirmed all that. So it's not rumours. These are stories within the club that are coming out of the club. You know, so it's just, again, if we were probably winning games, none of these stories come out of the club. In Stephen Kenny's time, even we go back to Sean McCaffrey's time, when these things happened, and Steph, even when you were involved in the club, everything was watertight. You know, you never heard any of this stuff, and now it seems in the last 12 months that every news story that's coming out is breaking before the club even gets a chance to do it. You know, so there's only one way to stop that, is get the story out before it goes on social media and grows legs.
Yeah, exactly. And in the interest of speeding things up for tonight, just for a midweek, we prefer the show to be a bit shorter. We'll do a quick run around the house for a man of the match. Donald, I'm going to come to you first. Your man of the match tonight.
Sorry, this whole conversation has just been a massive bummer. Cool. It's Mickey Duffy. He was trying his best, and he was dangerous, and he got the goal. So I go Mickey Duffy.
No problem, Gally.
Junior. No, yeah, look, Mickey Duffy. I can't look. I thought Greg Sligo was good. I thought he was decent. I thought Sonny had a decent game, but yeah, look, even a poor Mickey Duffy is better than most. For me, yeah, Michael Duffy, yeah.
Bingo.
I'm gonna say Chris Shields, just because I'm just devastated. I'm heartbroken.
It's just giving a man in a match competition.
We can say that Mickey Duffy obviously got his goal, but I think it was a game that was won in the middle of the park, and it was that work that Shieldsy does off the ball, and maybe because he's going, I've been watching it. It's like player cam. I just watched him all night to see what he was doing, but for me it's Shieldsy.
Steph.
Shields. Same reasons as Dean.
All right.
He was better in it. Look, when he went back in the middle after being at centre half for so long, just showed you what we missed in there. Like, I thought he was our best player.
Right now, I'm going to add yours in to everyone else's. I probably would have gone, because I go Shields every week and I get slagged for it, and that hasn't helped my contract situations with him. So I'm going to go to Duffy. Give my vote to Duffy in defiance against that. So in a landslide, lads, it's Michael Duffy is the winner of our Man of the Match competition tonight. And let's have a look. We've down someone who comments in on the show fairly regularly as well. So I think Jason Kelly, we will give the mug to Jason Kelly tonight. So Jason, just get in contact us and we will.
Come on, Jason.
Well done, Jason.
Well done, Jason.
So 2 hours of business left, lads. Derry.
I think David Rogers is going to get the job. Oh, sorry, that's 3 weeks ago. Sorry.
Yeah. So I suppose we've got Derry coming on Friday. We'll do a quick predictions round. So I'll go opposite way on this. Steph, go with yourself first. Derry with a 1-1 draw tonight.
Yeah, so decent result for they're coming up to Oriel. I think it'll be a tough game. Like they're doing quite well. They've definitely had an upturn since.
Patching won't be playing.
Patching can't play, am I right? Due to his loan agreement.
No.
Yeah.
So they won't score.
Well, the problem is that he didn't score assists as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's got a couple of assists. All right, yeah, he's been flying. Yeah, that'll be a big miss for them, and they'll have to replace him with somebody. I hope we can scrape a 2-1 win. I think it'll be 1-1 though.
1-1. I'm going to say 1-1.
1-1.
I just think. Sorry, go ahead. Go on.
You were wrapping this up quickly.
Go ahead, Gary.
I'm with Steph. I'm with Steph on this one. 2-1. Yeah.
I am going 1-0.
I was going to say 2-1, so I'm not doing it now. So I'll go 1-0.
1-1. Right. And on the basis of tonight, I'm going 1-0 again. Another clean sheet, lads. 2 clean sheets in a row. Get in there.
It's unlikely.
High five, Gally.
All the
way. And in the interest of
just absolutely guarantee about Friday night though, Chris Shields is 100% getting man of the match. Even if he goes off injured 2 minutes into the game, he's still going to get man of the match.
No matter what happens.
Yeah.
In the interest of just wrapping up things for tonight, so just an update on the table because Pingu hasn't done it in ages. So Pats are top tonight on 34 points. On looks like goal difference just is splitting between themselves and Rovers. So Rovers second, 34 points, then Sligo third on 32 points. Gap then back to Bows with that 1-0 victory over Rovers tonight. And Joji Kelly with another goal for them, so they're on 27 points. Drogheda stay on 25 points in 5th place. Derry just behind them, 22 points. Dundalk up to 7th, 21 points. So a point behind Derry. So that actually, lads, that game on Friday now becomes quite pivotal if we can start closing the gap to Drogheda and leapfrog Derry. That could be quite significant. Harbs dropping more points tonight. They're 19 points in 8th. Waterford with a victory over Longford tonight, 2-1. They're on 12 points, and then Longford behind them on 8 points, bottom of the league. Gentlemen, thank you for popping in. We'll have to figure out what the hell we're going to do on Friday. There's a couple of substitutes might be needed with ourselves. I'm back on streaming service again. So thanks for your time, lads.
Cheers,
Steph, thanks for bringing us down, as always.
Yeah, no, look, I'll keep us level-headed.
Yeah, I was so optimistic, lads. I'm actually back down with the rest of you now. How did this happen tonight?
Listen, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves too early.
If we get 2 wins off the trot, it'll be party central here Friday night. It'll be like a I don't know what we're going to put a name on. We have to change the music and everything. The intro music will have to change and everything. Thank you, boys. Yeah.
if we win on Friday, me and Gally will wear party hats.
Get in.
Right, here we go. When I dial in on Russell Street, lads, I want it to be full carnival atmosphere.
That's it.
It's
going to kick off. Yeah, it's going to kick off.
Yeah. Steph, I don't know if we need to change it tonight to keep Chelsea in, but I'll give you the final word.
Yeah. No fats, no party.